my pelvic pain's just increasing. I'm waking
Mhm.
up, I mean, in tears.
Every night.
Made me regret not going with you guys sooner. Probably right at 4 weeks, I was like, okay, I'm actually really impressed. This is obviously working. I felt so taken care of. I definitely regret trying it myself and failing and being in pain months longer than I could have.
So it was 100% worth the investment,
Yeah.
even though you had
It's
to make the
hard to
leap.
make the plunge, but it was 100% worth it. Hello.
How are you, Hope?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing so good. I'm excited to chat with you. Honestly, I was excited to hear about your journey and your story because I know it's been a journey for your girlfriend.
It's been a journey. Yeah. I know summing it up in 90 seconds for Lindsay was kind of hard.
No, I know. I know she said that too. She's like, I'm so glad that you're going to chat with her too, because there's so much nuance, of course, as well.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. My plan for us is obviously I'm trying to keep this under half hour just to protect our time. But my goal is like to take it all the way back from when you very first met and talked with us, and you actually decided not to work with us, which
was what, January?
Was a while ago, January.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think
And
so.
then you did your thing, and then you're like, wait, I actually need your guys' help and like your experience. So let's start. Let's just go.
Yeah. So, okay, this was my third pregnancy. Worked out my whole pregnancy. And this was my first pregnancy working out. Probably this is the most I've ever worked out. My husband is a bodybuilder, so he was like, weight lift, you got this. This is going to help with labor. And I would say like November, December, I was doing March. So what, 3 months still left of the pregnancy, I started having pelvic girdle pain.
Yeah.
And I would say I didn't know exactly what it was called, but I had it a little bit with my last pregnancy, but it was like maybe just the last month. So I was like, ooh, this is happening sooner than I remember and harder to just kind of suck it up and get through. I'm a hairstylist, so I work on my feet and I have 2 other kids. I'm like, I'm not sitting around lounging. So that's probably when I first reached out. I was like, okay, this is kind of hurting. Was like really hurting to get in and out of bed. I would say like getting up off the floor. And probably it did start waking me up at night, which is what I ended up experiencing even after labor.
Yeah.
So I reached out in January, and my husband, who, like I said, bodybuilds, is kind of like, we're going to figure it out. Why don't you just ask me? I'm like, okay, I get that you know a lot of things, but this is his first kid. So that does not mean, postpartum or pregnancy or anything like that. But I'm like, okay, so I just got some info. I was also like, this is expensive. So it's not just like an easy decision to make. Sure. But I also left the call. For sure. I left the call, really wanting to do it. And then he kind of really discouraged me against doing it. And so I was like, okay, I guess I'll just like see if this gets better.
Yeah.
And it did not get better. It did not get better.
It did not get better, actually.
My labor went smooth. And that really wowed me. I'm like, okay, working out paid off. Okay, I had a much easier labor, much easier recovery. My baby did have a tongue and lip tie, so that made nursing really hard. And that probably took the cake for like physical pain of recovery for a little bit.
Oh, sure.
Which probably made it easier to like just go longer and go, okay, I'm gonna like do my 8 weeks and just chill. I did some breath work. I looked up whatever. He gave me like, he probably Googled whatever and gave me some stuff. And I was working on it. But then I think probably when the height of the breastfeeding pain went down a little bit, my pelvic floor pain like came to the forefront of my mind. And I, at 8 weeks, then I was like, okay, again, talking to my husband, like, I think he was a little more pro work with a physical, like a personal trainer. So I ended up
that was his background, right? Like that's what he knew.
Yeah. But he bodybuilds, which is still even a lot different than Like
Totally.
that's not a lot of females bodybuild. So I'm like, even
Not a
like
lot of
I appreciate
pregnant
his
and
knowledge,
postpartum
but I
moms.
had a hard time because I was like, you bodybuild, I'm not even really trying to bodybuild. I've like done
Yeah.
yoga, I've done
Yeah.
stretching, I've done mobility, I've done a little bit of weight training, but like
Mhm.
this is kind of a different arena. But having
Mm.
actual pain, this is a whole different arena than just, oh, okay, build muscle, this fixes everything.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's a really important thing that you bring up is sometimes women will go talk to their husbands just like you did, and their husbands will have an input or an idea,
Yeah.
but they weren't the ones on the call with us, and they weren't the ones like getting the feedback, getting the information, but they
Yeah.
still, at the end of the day, they still do have your best interest in mind.
Right.
They still do want you to get better.
Right.
They still want you to, so what do you think? If you were to do this over again, because obviously, like you inquired to work with us, you ended up not doing it, you went into postpartum, you still had the pelvic pain. And what do you think you would have done differently communicating to your partner in that moment? Was it like more confidence, more clarity? Like, what
That's
do
a
you
hard
feel like you
question.
could have
I probably
maybe
would
done different?
have insisted on him doing a call with you
Hmm.
guys.
Yeah,
Maybe that would have helped because I think sometimes it was like, oh, if it comes from someone else, not just from me,
yeah.
maybe you'll take it a little more seriously that it's like, I've been evaluated and this is an actual problem, not just, oh, you're complaining of soreness. I'm sure it's X,
Hmm.
Y, and Z, and I'm sure a little whatever will help. I
Hmm.
think the more you know, at least in my husband's case, like he likes to research stuff. So I
Sure.
think maybe it could have been helpful to just actually be in the call with me,
I completely
not
agree.
just hear it secondhand and then go, oh, but maybe
I
maybe
always
they're trying to
encourage.
sell you. Maybe,
Of course. Yeah,
yeah,
of
yeah,
course. It's like anytime I can ever get husbands also on the call, not only if they are a part of the financial decision-making process, which is important to get them a part of that. We want you
yeah,
guys to be on the same team and not to get a
yeah,
over this, right? But also support-wise. Like I
yeah,
want the husband to know like what the process is, what the program is, what are the requirements of you, how are we going to support you? Because then that makes him feel more secure that like we got
yeah.
your back and we're there for you.
Which is, yeah,
We get to all be on the same team. Okay, so I love
right.
that you said that. I'm gonna keep, hitting that on moms to be like, get your husband on the freaking call,
Yeah.
on the first call, if he's gonna be a part of the financial decision making,
I
and if he
mean, or
wants
a
to know
separate
what the
call.
program is.
Right,
Yeah,
or a separate call, or a,
yeah,
"Hey, I'd be happy to just talk one-on-one with your
totally.
husband and answer
Hmm.
any questions he has," you
Yeah,
know?
I'm always happy to do that for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So then, okay, speed us forward. You're 8 weeks. You still have pelvic
I
pain.
8 weeks, I still have pelvic pain. I'm cleared for regular exercise. I work with a regular trainer who's doing,
Yeah.
like, I would say very traditional exercises, squats, lunges, full body HIIT kind of style, interval
At 8 weeks.
style.
Yeah.
And I started with body weight alone, and like I said, I even went in going, okay, I worked out my whole pregnancy. You underestimate a little bit how much postpartum just undoes everything, because you just go,
Yeah.
it's crazy. I've only not worked out for like two, I mean, three, I did three, probably 3 months, because my last month of pregnancy I was also decently sick and having so much pelvic girdle pain I did not exercise
Mm-hmm.
really, besides walking and maybe a little stretching, but I was
Hmm.
so uncomfortable. So you go, okay, I've only been out 3 months and I literally I can't do anything. And
Yeah.
so I start exercising. I feel like, okay, this is really hard in the beginning. Okay, I'm building up, I'm getting a little bit stronger, but then my pelvic pain's just increasing. I'm waking
Mhm.
up, I mean, in tears,
Every night.
almost every night,
Yeah.
sometimes more than one time a night. And then there's also still moments of I do an exercise like a side lunge and I would
Hmm.
feel it in my pelvic floor. And I'm like, I just feel like this is not. And my husband's pushing me like, do weights, do more weights. I'm sure it's
Mhm.
just like you just need to up your weight. And I'm like, I don't think so. This
No.
is like not getting better. This is worse.
Yeah, it's that gap in knowledge of like what
Yeah.
does pubic symphysis
Right.
pain
And it's
need?
like,
And
and what do I do? You're like,
hmm.
right, I'm doing everything I know to do. I'm even working with someone and it's not. And so that's when it was abundantly clear that I was like, okay, I need to go to someone who specialized. And the trainer I was working with still had a child. But so
Mm.
I felt a little like, okay, maybe, because she's experienced this herself, but
Mm.
you're still going so traditional with these exercises. that I'm
That
like,
that's yeah, like if we could highlight, like there are a lot of postpartum trainers out there. And that is not compared to working with a pelvic floor therapist,
yeah,
also additionally trained in personal training, right?
right.
So that's the differences, right? It's like
Yeah,
just because you had a mom and you became a postpartum trainer doesn't mean that you can work with moms 8 weeks out that have leakage and pelvic pain and prolapse. They need to be with an expert, with a pelvic floor therapist that not only understands postpartum rehab, but that also understands how to scale back to fitness as
yeah.
well.
And I think that's honestly what sets you guys apart the
Mhm.
most is that you do both.
Yeah.
And honestly, it made me regret not going with you guys sooner, which I can't go backwards. So I just had to go, okay, I know that I guess I can walk away going, I gave it my best shot to do it myself and I couldn't. And so I knew I had to work with someone who really specialized in this area. And really quickly, it became abundantly clear, okay, these are exercises I've never heard of before. These are things I've never done, which I would say I haven't had any severe enough injury to do a lot of physical therapy in general. I've had siblings that have, but you're not
Sure.
in on the physical therapy process to go, oh, this is typically what they kind of whatever, so I was like, I really had no idea.
Mhm,
And you
mhm.
go, oh, these are a lot different than, and some of them you go, oh, this looks so easy, and then you try it and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm actually stunned. Like there was several times I went to my husband, I'm like, can you do this, because
Mhm.
this looks easy and I literally can't do it.
Oh my gosh. And that's so important too because you really focused on rebuilding the pelvic floor and core first. And that's
Yeah,
what also helps heal and settle down the pain. Obviously, there's a lot
yeah,
of other factors with that. But when
yeah,
we go straight from postpartum to after having a baby to like lunges and lateral lunges and squats, like that's just jumping straight into fitness with totally missing the pelvic floor and core rehab side of things from a pelvic floor therapist lens.
yeah.
Also, like lateral lunges and pelvic pain do not go together.
That, I mean, that was one of the first things Lindsay
Like
was like, there
number
are any
one, we don't
exercises
do
where you
that.
feel your pelvis, and I was like, side lunge. She was like, oof.
Like, why are we doing side lunges?
Right, right.
But seriously, okay, so you started with us after at 8 weeks because you clearly were like, hey, look, I'm still in pain. I've even tried this postpartum trainer for a
Yeah,
personal trainer.
yeah,
Um, Now you come to work with us. You obviously know just from the assessment and from the exercises alone, just getting into it right away, how drastically different the care,
yeah,
the support, the education is. Walk me through. You worked with us for only 3 months. We were
yeah,
just like very targeted, specific. Let's get you
yeah,
out of this pain. Walk me through your journey, your experience with us. When did you start noticing the pain go away? When were you start noticing
yeah.
momentum?
I would say probably like end of the first 4 weeks. I was
Mm-hmm.
like, I was checking in frequently enough to be like, oh, I didn't have it last night. Okay, I had it last night. Okay, I didn't have it this night. We were checking in pretty constantly. But I would say, as far as being like, oh wow, I've maybe gone a whole week
Yeah.
without it, or oh wow, I really haven't noticed my pelvis at all in the
Mm-hmm.
last, because I would notice that at different times. Okay, it's a little sore, and you're just thinking, right? Okay, I'm still postpartum, so this is not,
Mm-hmm.
no, this is
Mm-hmm.
not normal. So I would say probably right at 4 weeks, I was like, okay, I'm actually really impressed. This is obviously working.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. And you notice the decrease in pelvic pain, pain at
Yeah.
night. We're
Decrease
able,
in pain,
yeah.
decrease in consistency, even
Mm,
a little bit increase in strength. Like I think, 3 weeks go by and you go, okay, these exercises I could barely do. And now I feel like,
yeah.
okay, these seem pretty easy. And there would be times where I would get a little discouraged. Okay, I feel like maybe, ooh, was that too much, or another. But I also really appreciated Lindsay's attention to my nervous system and my
Yes.
stress, in addition to my physical pain. I think that's also a really different thing that most trainers don't. They're here for the fitness. That's what they know. So it's like no outside factor. And she'd be like, "How was your week? How do you feel like?" And there were times where I even felt like she was like, I think this is maybe tied to like emotional stress or
Mm,
outside stress that's setting you back last night and the night before that you weren't dealing with a week. So then we started doing some nervous system stuff, and I'm like, I felt so taken care of. Like
oh,
nobody has care, right? You're there for one specialty, so you're just thinking, okay, I'm gonna get help in that area. But she's like, okay, I think we need to deal with this too, or here's my suggestion for, she gave me other types of help to go, okay, obviously you're wanting me to like thrive, not just let me heal your pelvic floor. Okay, bye. You
Mhm.
know?
Yeah. I think it's people don't know that. We're kind of
Yeah.
sneaky in that way because I think if we like came out of the game, we're like, we're gonna work on your nervous system and stress and somatic healing, people will be like, I'm sorry, what? I think I just
Yeah.
want my pelvic floor healed. But it's like, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, we're pelvic floor therapists, don't worry. But then we know, like, yes, we're gonna get you in the door, we're gonna decrease the pain, we're gonna do the pelvic floor rehab assessments, we're gonna get you on the right pelvic floor rehab exercises. But at the end of the day, like if your nervous system is in fight or flight or if it's stressed, a body will not heal in a stressed out environment. And
Yeah.
so we also take into account stress, nutrition, because nutrition's a
Yeah.
huge factor too. If we're not fueling our bodies appropriately, we cannot expect them to heal,
Yeah.
especially like those first 6 months postpartum. We really need to make sure our nutrition and our stress, as much as possibly humanly can. Of course, we have little children,
Right.
sleep impacts it. So we're actually looking at all of those things. But of course, in the beginning, we're like, what's the biggest lever we can pull to get
Yeah.
this person out of pain?
Yeah, so I felt like, okay, you're really caring about me as a human, which,
Yeah.
right, especially when you have a couple kids, like, it's like, okay, by your third kid, like, okay, this is just like normal life. Let's keep going. So even to
Mhm.
have someone, checking in, hey, how are you doing? Hey, how are you feeling? Hey, how's your nutrition? Hey, how's your movement? What's been hard? What do you need advice on? Like, it's so helpful. I wish there was so much more postpartum care in the world available to moms
Mm,
regularly. And I think it's hard that it's such an investment and you're so naturally on the back burner to go, oh, this feels like a lot of money, right? I just spent a couple $1,000s on my kid's dentist thing and I don't
yeah.
blink at that.
Didn't even flinch when you have to spend it on your
I
kid, but you
go,
spend it on
this is just what
yourself.
I have to do.
Yes. Car
But it took
payment,
me six
animal.
months to go, oh, I
Yes.
actually really need to do this for myself.
Do you feel like it was like your own guilt or your own like self maybe hindering you from wanting to make that investment in yourself? Because like you said, it's like my kid needs $1,800 or my car or my animal, like boom, here's the credit card, whatever I got to do. When it comes to actually spending it on ourselves, like what do you think the
Yeah.
block is there for yourself or maybe for other women?
I mean, I think for moms, right, resources certainly are an impact, right? Sometimes you are at the liberty of whatever your husband allows you to do or whatever you make or whatever you can make
Hmm.
work. But I also think again, you naturally, right, you put your kids first, you put your family function first, you put your groceries first, and it's not easy to then go, okay, but actually my quality of life
Yes.
not what I want it to be. And so, yeah, I do think for some people it just does maybe take long. And one thing I will also say is I really did appreciate you guys checking in on me even before I pulled the plug to be like, "Hey, we have a special. Hey, let me circle back around." Like also that's never happened either. That it's like
Mm,
I also think that was a factor too that I was like
mm,
it didn't feel transactional.
mm,
It really felt like I talked to probably what 3 or 4 different people before I actually decided to work with someone, and I really felt in every conversation somebody was trying to care for me, taking my best interests at heart, and so it's like sometimes, right, you're like, "I'm too busy, I have to take care of everybody else," and it takes the pursuit that I think you guys
mm.
did really well to go, "Okay, no, actually, how I'm feeling matters and how my body's operating matters and I do need to focus on that." And I think sometimes right you have a different support level to where that's a lot easier decision. But I also think there's lots of people in my case, I mean, even have it worse than me that go back to work in 2 weeks. I knew someone who went back to
Crazy.
work
Yeah.
in 2 weeks where I'm
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
is anyone taking care of any I can't even fathom.
Mm,
So I think you guys do a good job in that regard to go when people don't have the support, you guys do really feel like you stepped in supportive wise, even to just casually be like, hey, it's been a couple months, want to have a conversation, you know?
yeah. I feel like that's, oh, thank you for sharing that. That means so much to me because that's
Yeah.
part of like our core values too, is really just showing up as humans. Like
Yeah.
when I think about like creating this company, but also creating this program, but even down to hand selecting the people who work for us, like it is so important that every single person is bought into the mission that basically says like how would we want to be taken care of as mothers, and especially mothers in these phases of pregnancy, early months of postpartum, early years of postpartum where we're moms, we get it too. Like there is a lot going on in these seasons, and it's so easy for us as moms to put ourselves on the back burner.
Yeah.
So literally part of our mission is like, how would we want people to show up for ourselves? Like, how would we want to be able to show up for others? So
Yeah.
it makes me really happy that you said that, because those little check-ins of like, I care about you, even though you might have like stopped thinking about healing for yourself. Like I
Yeah.
haven't thought about not healing for yourself. And I think too, like to your point, it's like it's hard sometimes for us because for me, it's like I know we can help you. Like I freaking know that if
Yeah.
we just spent at least 3 months with you, like we would
Yeah.
change your life, your quality of life would be better, you wouldn't be in pain as much, you wouldn't have the issues that you do. But it is like that patience game of making sure that like you also feel ready to take that
Yeah.
next as
Yeah.
well. And sometimes we can't rush that, right? We just
Right.
show
Right.
you consistent
And
love
I
and
appreciate that
check
I
in.
don't feel like you guys did. You let me do my
Mm,
process, but then you also, there were several times where you guys had sales and you specifically reached out to me personally going, "Hey, I thought of you when
mm-hmm,
we're running this deal. Would this help?" Because that
mm-hmm.
was one of the big hurdles for me was the financial,
Yeah.
part.
And it
And
is for a lot of moms.
yeah. So I think you guys did that really well. And
Mm.
also because of how well I think I was taken care of during the 3 months. I mean, the 3 months went by fast. I was like, I
Yeah.
think now I would say people should do it longer than 3 months for sure.
Honestly, most of our clients do. Like we
Yeah.
inserted you into a shorter program because
Yeah.
we were taking those things into consideration,
Yeah.
right? We knew that
Right. But
finances were a
I
barrier.
felt like you guys were trying to work with me to go,
Yes.
okay, if
Yeah.
we only have this certain budget, let's make the most of it. And I really
Yes.
appreciate that too, that it wasn't just like, oh, sorry, since you can't whatever, then
Mm.
okay, maybe find someone else. Because that really made a difference too. Because some people you're limited to what you're
Hmm.
limited to. And
Yeah.
so being willing to find some way that I could get some type of benefit made a huge difference for me.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, honestly, mostly we try to work with clients at minimum 4 to 6 months because 3 months does come and go so fast.
Oh my
And we
gosh.
want to be there for that hybrid approach, like you talked about before. It's like
Yeah.
it takes us 3 months to heal the pelvic floor and core, sometimes
Yeah.
more, right? So, but then we want the extra couple months to be able to scale you back to strength training, to earn your muscle mass back, to help
Yeah.
teach you how to navigate, how to scale impact. Because for most moms, it's like they do want to get back to some level of activity. They're coming to us at some level of, strength training or dance or running or whatever it might be, that yes, through the first 3 or 4 months will like be able to get you out of pain and heal most of the pelvic floor issues, if not all of them. But then the other couple months with you is really allows us to scale you back up to strength training.
Yeah.
And I think you see that now that you experienced different postpartum fitness training, if you will.
Yeah.
And like just by not having to re-explain your entire situation again, of like,
Right.
we already know that's the benefit of like, if you know you want to work with a personal trainer in the future because you have like weight loss goals or strength goals or whatever, body composition goals, whatever it might be. Like, I'm like always like, come to us first because we'll heal your pelvic floor and then we'll scale you back up. But you don't have to re-explain
Yeah.
your story. You don't have
Yeah.
to, we already know what moves triggered you in the past. So we're not going to program those for
Yeah.
you initially right off of the gate. Like we'll want to work
Right.
to that, but we just know you and your story and your body and everything that we overcame together. So it's so much easier for us to just keep that momentum going and get you right back safely into strength training without
Yeah.
any issues.
And I would 1,000% like work with you guys again. I would 1,000%
Oh,
recommend you
thanks.
guys.
Mm,
I, yeah, I felt so taken care of, and I felt so helped, and I'm so
yeah.
thankful for sure.
Thank you for popping on with me and sharing your
Yeah.
journey, your story, and your transformation. I always end these calls with like, if there's a mom on the fence that's like listening to this and she's like maybe nervous to invest in herself, or maybe the financials are a barrier or whatever it might be, what would you tell that mom that's on the fence of like just wanting to work with us but so scared to take the leap?
Well, I remember being on the phone with you and almost getting emotional saying
Mm,
like, what if it doesn't help? What if I spend money and I spend time and
mhm,
I'm still in pain? Because you
mhm.
just don't know, especially after trying other things, you just don't know, oh my
Yeah,
gosh, is this even going to do anything or I'm just going to be wasting my money? Because I certainly have wasted my money before on things. So you
totally.
go, and on the internet, I think it's even harder to go, oh my gosh, okay, is this a real person? Is this a real thing that's going to trust it? Or is this a cookie cutter? Okay,
Yep.
this works for some people and that doesn't mean it's going to work for me. So I honestly would say, like, do it. I mean, I think you
Mhm.
guys are easy to trust, like when you actually have a conversation. But I would say, like, don't wait. I
Mhm.
definitely regret trying it myself and
Mhm.
failing and being in pain months longer than I could have. And even now, saying goodbye at 3 months to be like, I felt a little nervous going like, okay, I hope I don't go backwards. And I know if I go backwards, I'm gonna hit you
We're
guys
right
up for
here.
a couple more months and it's gonna make a big difference. But I also feel empowered to like take the stuff that I've learned and like, I said to Lindsay, like, okay, what do I do if I go backwards? And she's like, okay, you have the exercises, like you can go back to the same thing, you can start from the ground up, you can do it. So
Mhm.
honestly, it would just be to like actually take the leap and do it. And it is so will help. I think,
Mhm.
but I know that question can be so big and so fearful of like, okay, do I spend the money? And I do think stick with it. Of course, I always did my stuff. Even if I got a day behind, I'd catch up because I was like,
Mhm.
okay, I spent a lot of money on this. I gotta get, so it was like definitely actually do it, not halfway
Yeah.
do it, but 100% just to like take the leap. And it makes a crazy huge difference. And then you walk away with a wealth of knowledge. And I think that's my benefit too.
Mhm.
Is I go, okay, now I've worked with a pelvic floor therapist. So I feel like I can actually try this. And then I know, okay, if I try this and end up having another problem and it's not working, I know that it worked last time. I 100% would go, get more advice from you guys.
Yeah. So it was 100% worth the investment,
Yeah,
even though you had
it
to
was.
stretch yourself to
It
get
was
there and make the
hard to
leap.
make the
Yeah.
plunge, but it was
Yeah.
100% worth it for sure.
Oh, amazing. Thank
Yeah,
you, Hope, so much. I
yeah,
appreciate you. I appreciate you being honest and vulnerable and being courageous and sharing your journey. Like, honestly, I'm always so grateful when our clients are willing to jump on a quick call with me
yes.
to recap. But you guys are amazing. And the other things that I hear consistently is like, I want to share my story because I was probably like this other person that watched you forever, that watched other people's videos, and I still had a trouble taking the leap. But it's like now that you're on the other side of that, it's so life-changing for sure.
It is so life changing and it's very
Mhm.
empowering and it's so encouraging and that's so needed. Like at that time in your life, you need that more than anything. Is someone asking you how you are and being like, "How can I help?" And I'll find an answer if I don't have one. And those like consistent check-ins, yeah, they make a world difference for sure. You guys are
Mm,
awesome.
amazing. We love you. We're gonna be sad to have you go away, but obviously, we're always here as well.
Yeah, yeah. And I am talking about you guys forever. And I'll be back if I need you again.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you.